What does meditation do? It tells you where to go. It tells you what to do, or it lets you be you. So I like puns and kind of dad joke puns, things that are probably not that funny, but it's kind of like, aha.
Some tool. Can we get some tool, please?
Oh man, I mean, me and Justin are already super connected to that song, to that location. The juxtaposition of like the hard and soft moments in that song. I'm gonna turn it and say, what would you think I picked?
Oh gosh!
Obviously, it was my subtitle. 99.9% sure that was the first high box I did. Half of that song is Windfall.
It is.
Make some groups and sometimes put some beats to those.
Make sure you check Dave's journey. Make sure he played this workout with us since he suggested it.
Yes.
Welcome back to another episode of For the Love of the Map, where we talk all things supernatural, choreography, and the joy in movement. Today, I'm super excited to introduce you guys to Mr. Dave. That's what I call him. I actually call him Mr. Rave, but we'll get into that later.
Oh, no.
Welcome to the show, Dave.
It's a pleasure to be here with you. I don't know why I did that voice, but yeah, I'm just super excited.
And I don't think I mentioned this, but this is one of the 8 supernatural choreographers. So we get to get a peek behind the scenes at Dave, his process, who he is, all the things, super excited. But first, I had an idea to start this off. And we're going to go super fast with this. This is first gut reaction, no time to think style questions. You ready?
Yeah, I think so.
Dave's like, what? What are we doing? Okay.
What?
Broccoli or carrots?
Broccoli?
Your face, you're like, neither.
If there's a lesser of two evils, I guess,
Right.
for me. I don't know why.
Yeah.
So,
Cool. All right. Winter or summer?
winter, I get really hot in the summer. So.
Fair.
hmm
Desert or beach?
Ironically, desert over beach.
Interesting. Okay.
I've never
Flow?
actually been to the official desert, but
Oh,
it's very beautiful. So,
it is very beautiful. And you travel
yeah,
a lot. So
yeah. I
maybe
see
you
it from
need,
the plane.
yeah, I was going to say, maybe you see it from the plane. You read
Yep,
my mind, dude. Or maybe I read yours.
true.
All right. Flow or boxing?
Bloxing.
Oh,
Is that cheating?
no. I'll take it.
Okay, cool.
All right. Super important one. The balance of our friendship is on this one. Rap
Okay.
or country?
I'm ashamed that you even asked me that question because it's definitely rap, 100%.
Awesome.
I think you knew that though. Yeah.
I did know that.
Um, some, there's some outliers, but yeah, definitely rap,
Always outliers and everything, but definitely rap. You're my kind of dude.
100%.
Yeah. All right. Very last rapid fire question. Sock, shoe, or sock, shoe.
Can you repeat that?
Yep. And look at your feet while I'm doing it. Like pretend you're like putting on your socks and shoes, getting ready for the day. Sock, shoe, or sock, shoe.
100%, no questions asked. Sock, shoe.
Okay. All right, fine. You're the opposite of me. That's cool.
It's because I always have socks on.
Oh,
Like, I don't like to take them off. So that's another story. But yeah, sock, shoe.
got it.
Shoe
Makes
fly.
sense. Shoe
Yes.
fly.
Yep.
um, Tell me the story about your broken toe.
About my broken toe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I actually don't really know the story. It just kind of happened. and I just thought it was swollen for no reason. But I went to Europe with my wife in the spring. It was a long overdue vacation, and we walked like 40 miles in 8 days in four different countries. And then I got an X-ray when I got back and found out that it was broken. It might have been potentially, I joke with Justin about this, about how one of the last things I did before my vacation was play through Fiddle and Fury, the pros only. So I joke about that being the reason why my toe is broken, but who knows? That could be it. So, but there's really not. I probably just stubbed it, honestly.
Probably.
And it's mostly better now. So,
Is it mostly better?
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So I see a ton of different music equipment behind you. I see
Yes.
a keyboard, a guitar. What I see a drum back there.
Yeah.
I'm going
There's
to
some things.
assume music is one of your passions.
Yeah, and I don't always consider myself a musician. I consider myself like a maker of noise. Um, I do like to make music, but I'm not like classically trained, and I wouldn't say that I'm super great at one particular thing. I just kind of like everything. So while I play bass and sometimes I play regular guitar, I'm not very good at that. I'm better at bass. Um, I also produce music, and just in general, like to make beeps and boops and sometimes put some beats to those. So, yeah, and that started a really long time ago. I think I was in a punk band like when I was 13
Oh, wow.
and played music in bands probably through the end of high school. And then I started DJing and producing and stuff. So, yeah, it's been a while.
Oh, wow. You said DJing and producing. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but my partner, Chris, is also a DJ slash producer, or was. It's one of his hobbies. He used to play at events and shows, but now he says he's too old for all that. But often plays in the spare bedroom. And one of the things, he has a keyboard and he's really big into keying music and making sure things are mixed in the proper key. And so I remember when we first started dating, it would be awesome beats, and then I'd hear burr, burr, just like over and over for hours while he was keying his tracks. So,
Yep. Yep. That, I guess I can kind of tell a parallel story with like when I first moved in with my wife, like then girlfriend before engagement, she was like kind of uh, blown away by the amount of wires I had. Just like I was moving my stuff, and it was just like multiple boxes full of all different cables and wires. And I'm like, no, I need all of these. So that's part of being like kind of a musician or being into computers and electronic music. Otherwise, it's just you probably have an obnoxious amount of wires. So
yes, chords, we have them. I'm really lucky that Chris is super, I say OCD about it, but he has very great cable management and has them very organized and put away in places and like labeled. But we have a ton. Like, why do we need all these? But he says we do. So I leave that alone. Go ahead.
there's always an occasion. So,
So you have a lot of experience in music, bands, producing. What
that is
else did
correct.
you do? What'd you go to college for? I assume you went to
Um,
college.
well,
I did
I've
not go to
always done.
college, so I shouldn't
Um,
assume.
no, don't. It's fine. I mean, I could lie right now, but I'm not going to. So I actually started. in the creative zone, I guess, with like graphic and web design. I was doing that in towards the end of high school, like at like a vocational school while I was in high school. So I was doing the program was called Advertising Arts and Design. So we were doing, print and digital media, a little bit of like HTML for websites and stuff like that. And I definitely that's what I wanted to do, but because I'm always like, nah, shiny new thing. I think that has morphed over time, where I did about a year and a half of the whole graphic design thing at a community college by me, and then I took I think a semester or two off, and then I came back and did audio and video production because I guess that's just the progression of things. And that's what I actually got my degree in. So yeah, audio and video production. I wanted to make a living like actually making music or scoring films or just doing things that I uh, admired other people doing, like even like doing like Foley. You know what a Foley artist is?
Yes.
Yeah, like I would love like that was always something that I was like, oh, I love to like cut up vegetables and make sounds with them,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I think while my interests have changed, it's all part of the same, uh, zone, I guess.
For sure. Definitely all creativity based. It
100%.
maybe, I guess it was computer graphics and design. So that is
Yes,
creativity. I guess code is often considered creative, maybe too.
it
That's
is.
beyond
Yeah,
my brain coding. I think
yeah.
I did
And they
some
go,
basic stuff back in the day with like MySpace.
no, everybody. I mean, that was honestly like MySpace and do you remember like Angel Fire like websites? Like
Yes.
yeah, so that's like where my interest peaked. I think I made like a Blink-182 fan page when I was like 11 or 12. Um, I was doing that like Angel Fire and GeoCities, I think were the two. And yeah, MySpace definitely is, a creative outlet. Even like AOL Instant Messenger, you got to create your own little like buddy icons and stuff. So I think that's where the graphic design stuff really originated. And I would do flyers for events, and um, you know, I actually worked at a print shop for about a year and a half, doing like signage and stuff for like retail stores, and that was a interesting. It was like an apprenticeship and then a job, and then yeah. So that was the start of my creative endeavors, I guess.
What other types of creative projects have you worked on? Um,
Um, I mean, it really runs the gambit. I think like I like to make things, whether it's creative or it's a puzzle. It's like I like to use my hands, and
yes.
build things. And uh, over the past few years, I've been getting into more. I mean, I've always liked to paint, and I'm not really good at drawing, but I think probably in 2020. I started getting into different mediums like resin, epoxy, using concrete, a little bit of wood. I'd like to get more into woodworking though. Um, but just to make, household objects, even jewelry, um, mostly for like gifting to friends and family, or just to have around the house. But, that would be a nice little fun side project to have like a little shop where I can sell my stuff. Because like, yeah, I like making things. You
Yeah.
know?
I relate to that. I like making things too. And if I could, I would have like a little workshop with all the things woodworking, glass blowing. You name it. I just want to play and dabble and mess around.
I actually, um, this lamp back here.
Yeah.
That was actually my first bass amp
Oh, wow.
that I've gutted and then just put a light bulb inside of it.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool.
so yeah, I like to repurpose everyday objects too. Like we have one of those big old school TVs that's like wooden and on wheels from like the 70s,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm trying to convert it into like a display case with like lights and stuff. It's been like a multi-year project because I procrastinate. So yeah, I think it's fun repurposing things so they have a new life.
Yeah, I like that too. I definitely enjoy that. Maybe I don't do that personally often enough, but I appreciate others who do. And the thought of making things and gifting them to friends and family, that speaks to my heart. If you make me something, I'm keeping it forever. You write me a note, I'm keeping it forever. You don't need to buy me something, make something. Everything my kid has
Yeah.
ever, like art projects or anything she's made, it has been very difficult for me to throw any of it away. I have a special box I keep things in. So I
Yeah.
can really relate to that. And the creativity behind it, it's got soul in it, emotions
Feels
attached to it.
good.
It feels
Yeah.
great for sure.
It's just tangible things. Like I can reach out and touch it. Like they're, not going to touch everything in my office that I've made, but it just feels like great. Like I mean, it was fun when I was doing graphic design, just for fun or for work or whatever. But making something that I can feel and touch and hold and that has takes up space, there's just something different about that. So,
Agreed. Oh man. So take me back to the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. That was a
hmm,
crazy time in everyone's life. Beginnings of
yeah,
COVID, just about to
yes,
start. We're all locked away.
yep. So, if it were talking about the end of 2020, that would mean my, you know, uh, career, no, my experience as a supernatural athlete, um, had been in full effect for a few months at that point because I actually, weirdly enough, uh, bought a Quest, and picked it up, the original Quest, 1, 0, whatever. Um, I picked it up, I think if it wasn't the exact day, it was the week that Supernatural launched. Um, and I got a targeted ad and I wanted to check it out. And like the rest is history. So if we're talking about later that year, I was already like super obsessed and just really into VR. Like in my mind, in the back of my head, I was like, I really, really would love to work in VR. Doesn't matter what it is, like at some point in my life, this is where I want to be. So that's kind of like what I was thinking at the end of 2020, towards the beginning of 2021. I had a job and I was working from home already. Obviously, even before COVID, I was remote. And so I wasn't like actively looking for employment. Um, but I knew in the back of my head that that's where I wanted to be. I didn't know supernatural, but just in VR because it's such an emerging field, that, we have no idea where it's going to be in a few years, but it's already changed so much since, you know, the first time I wore a VR headset. So,
Yes, for sure. Um, and I know that you were a supernatural athlete way before you became a choreographer.
yep,
You did the workouts, you were one of us. You still are one of us. You're in the
of
community.
course.
Um, but the fact that I can go back, and I'm definitely going to add this to the YouTube version of this episode,
Hmm.
but I found a fantastic post of you, and you're like doing Flex Friday before it's really officially for Flex Friday, and it's a gif of you and your in your arm, and you're tagged Leanne about a workout, and I just thought he's one
Yep.
of us. He's one of us. I think that's so
Uh,
cool.
yeah, I think both Kat and I um, were. I might be wrong, but I think probably the two of us were the only ones I think were in the community first before joining the team, at least on the choreo team. But yeah, I mean, I feel like the first month or two, I was so blown away, but I don't think I was like an everyday kind of blown away. Like, I mean, it blew my mind, but I needed to work up to it because prior to that, I did not like moving my body aside from like, dancing and whatever. I didn't, working out never really like clicked with me. Obviously, everybody can relate. A lot of people can relate. Uh, but I think like I would say when I actually joined the community, that's probably when I became like a 4 or 5 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week kind of supernatural athlete. Because prior to that, it was like, I'll hop in for a few things here and there. Um, but then, yeah, I think it was like a couple months later, so like June or July, I think, of 2020 is when I joined the community. There's like 1,000 people in there. And yeah, it was a very very welcoming place and still is just with 189,000 more people, something like that. I
Yes.
don't know what to know. Maybe not that much, but I don't know.
There's a lot of people there now for sure. And I think it's really cool that you brought up you were just sort of a casual supernatural user, athlete.
Mhm.
But then as soon as you joined the community, you became full blown 5, 7 days a week. It's something about the community. It's the whole package of everything of Supernatural offers, but the community is such a major part of it. As soon as you get plugged in there, it's just everything takes over. You learn about new workouts, you meet other people, you relate to others. It's such a driving
Yes.
force of keeping people motivated and getting in the headset.
Yeah. And it's like, it's something that in most cases, like going to the gym doesn't have, like I guess if you talk to people at the gym when you work out. That's like a sense of community or whatever. Or if you go to classes, you see the same people over and over again. But I think the melding of community and this immersive workout, that's very unique. And I think I have always kind of needed gamification for things to really click for me. Um, Probably because my attention span and a bunch of other things. But yeah, I think that everything came together, and here I am.
That's amazing. And you mentioned Kat because I know both of you were athletes first. Did you come across Benny's posting in the community the same way Kat did, looking for level mappers? Is that
Unicorns.
yeah, unicorns. Unicorns. Definitely
Yes,
unicorns. Is
I
that how it worked for
I
you?
did. Yep, I did. I saw it, and at that point I was employed, and I saw it, and I think I even applied possibly, but like passively. Um, but then, I think Kat got the job, and then, you know, not that much later, my company that I worked for prior, essentially dissolved my team. We were a small team that worked remotely doing boring stuff. But yeah, that was kind of like a sign because almost immediately after that, I saw that there was another listing for choreographer. And in between the time of the first and the second posting, I actually like took a VR app development course. Um, you know, so I learned a little bit how to code and how to use Unity and building worlds, and I just became more like enveloped in VR, and I was like, this is where I need to be. So yeah, I did see it. I did see that posting. Um, and it definitely spoke to
So tell us about I know for Kat, she got called down, went there. They kind of went over how to map and were like, here, let's see what you got. Is that how the process sort of worked for you?
Um, you're saying that she physically went to the
She did, but she's in California, and I know you're
right,
not there.
yeah,
So yours was probably
yes,
remote.
I'm in New York, so yeah, remote. It was probably a similar process though, because I believe I was taken, I applied and was interviewed and got to meet a lot of awesome people, and I was like, I really want this job. I didn't say that because that's kind of like, but uh, I think initially a few of us were hired on like a uh, almost like a probationary kind of basis. Like I don't know if it was supposed to be like 60 or 90 days or something, but it was basically like let's see what you can do. And I mean, after I got the position, I was so ecstatic, but there was a part of me that was definitely nervous because like, oh, I have this thing and I might, it's possible that I might lose it. But then the other part of me was like, no, I got it. So, um, I, yeah, it was definitely a long training experience, and unlike things that I've done in the past, but there are definitely some parallels, and yeah, I think that um, yeah, it was a long but amazing stretch to get to where I am now.
Right. And I could be wrong here, so correct me if you need to. Unlike some of the other choreographers, you don't come from a professional dance background. You like to dance. You know, you enjoy the movement, you do,
Yeah,
but you don't have any dance training. You come from more of a musical background.
that is correct. Totally correct. I um, don't have formal like choreography experience, but I always like to say that movement is kind of my ethos. I'm always like in a constant state of motion. And I think that going back, I did karate for a few years, I did soccer for a few years. I mean, I kind of always felt like I needed to do something else just because that's, my brain. But, I also got really obsessed with DDR for a little while, Dance Dance Revolution. I
Yes.
had a pad in my basement and, you know, uh, I'm not sure if it was that exactly, but I ironically was nicknamed Dance Dance Davy for a while. That name kind
Really?
of stuck. That was my first
Dance,
screen name on
dance.
Instant Messenger, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, the Dance Dance part was partially because of VDR, and then that was around the time I think that Fall Out Boy song came out too. So, which I was really into Fall Out Boy back then. So it was kind of a push and pull and both of the double meaning. But yeah, so my inspiration, I think, is more from my passion for music and the way I interpret sound and the way I see it, And I also uh, grew up like my mom was an aerobics instructor, and I used to like help her set up her classes and then play the boombox and like
You were the
rock
DJ.
out to some basically like usually put out some mats, stuff like that, at like a local school, gymnasium or whatever. uh and and my grandma also worked out all the time, like, so I grew up around fitness, just fitness adjacent. And I you know have gone to plenty of events, music festivals, concerts, whatever, where I really like to get down. So yeah, I've always loved to move, but never, I didn't have that like formal dance training. Yeah,
Right. Just a free spirit about it, getting in there like that. Yeah, that makes me.
exactly. Like, like to get a little loose and limber.
um, So you get the job at Supernatural. Man, what a dream. You get to do it remotely. You get to stay in New York and work in your headset. What did you think of the editor? Were you like, oh my gosh, what do I do here?
It's it's interesting. I think that prior to the first time I hopped in editor, I was already experimenting with a lot of other VR apps, and I think that the way it works is, akin to uh, like a VR version of like Photoshop or something. So I'm very familiar with those kind of, editing softwares, and I think that being able to understand how those pieces come together, I think really helped during the training process. Obviously, it's the body movement um, is where, yeah, I wasn't really learning editor itself that was the challenge. It was like learning to, trust my body and,
Yeah.
you know, from watching and playing all the other maps, I feel like I tried to, um, I don't want to say reach, that's a bad word, learn and grow from watching all of the other amazing choreographers on this team. And, we've also done a lot of in-person events where we focused on body movement and, done some boxing classes and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that I don't remember what the beginning of my rant was, but
We were
um,
talking about the editor and how it
oh
sounds
wow,
like
okay,
it was way more intuitive to you in the beginning because
yes,
of your graphic design background, because of the VR training, building classes you took, and things
hmm
like that. So it's sort of um, that part wasn't difficult. It was the
yeah,
figuring out the movements and
and
getting a map made.
it's exactly, and also like from using DAWs, digital audio workstations, like, Ableton Live is the one that I use most of the time, but there's plenty of others out there like Logic and Pro Tools that I've also used. I think using those, there's a way that you look at like sound and waveforms that you can kind of identify, you know, the soft and the loud and the low and the high end of the sonic, spectrum of music. And I think that that's really, I think, what influences me the most is really like, uh, yeah, the music obviously dictates, and then I just let it guide me. Um,
Right.
that probably, yeah, I think
The
it makes
best
sense
way.
to me.
Yeah, that makes sense to me too. You listen to the music and figure out how you want to put the movement in the space, in the map, make it for us. Do you I know that you love so many different genres of music. Do you
Yeah.
have a favorite you like to map to?
It's like, I think it's on a case by case basis because I sometimes find a lot of things surprising. But I think that mm, the the Indestructible series is obviously one that was kind of relaunched. Like I want to say recently, but it was literally like a while ago now.
It was a while
Um,
ago now.
there was Skinny Jeans and Ripped Jeans originally was where we would put our kind of indie flavored stuff. And that's like I feel like home base, for me, because that's what I really am in my elements. But um, because of my you know love for electronic music too, I like the drop, you know, different like Just Dance stuff like that. Now I'm talking about series, but specific music genres, it's like so much harder um,
Identify, yeah.
to
I could
identify.
see
Yeah,
that.
just because it, I hate saying it, but I do like almost everything. So
Same here.
I would say I hmm, I don't know. I can't really say there's anything in particular that I don't love mapping, aside from maybe things I haven't tried before. Like I'm not a musicals person,
Right.
so I have not delved into that because I feel like we have a lot of other people on the team who love musicals, and you know, I would rather let them do it. Not just because like I don't think I can. It's more like, you know, 9 times out of 10, you're if you're passionate about something, it's gonna come through, you know?
100%. Yes, definitely. So let the people who are passionate about that have it. Yeah, definitely. That makes a lot of sense to me. Um, you mentioned just dance because we were talking about electronic music, all that. Maybe you can help me figure out this mystery. Have you
Yeah.
ever noticed that every single Just Dance workout card has a fish on it? Every single one. Why? Why is it a fish,
Hmm.
Dave?
I have like noticed that casually, but I never really thought about it. Um,
These are the
I would
things we think about.
assume this is what I would assume,
Mm-hmm.
and I could be wrong, so don't quote me on this, even though.
Okay.
Now, that I'm just gonna make this up right now, but it could be right. Um, that the nature of a fish and the way that a fish moves in water is akin to dancing. It's like
Yeah.
flowy and free. And you think about like, I don't know, like Finding Nemo, like just keep swimming. Like, I don't know, it's kind of like, uh, that's the thing that would jump out at me.
Mm-hmm.
But there could be something that's more deliberate that I just don't know. But yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I've definitely done a few, and they have all had fish. So
Every single one of them have fish, and
it's got to be that.
it
It's
has
got
to
to
be
be.
that. It has to be
I
that.
think so. I mean, yeah, that
Nothing
seems
else
like
makes
it.
sense.
I mean, I know like we have plenty of workouts with you know, animal uh cards basically. But
All the
usually,
glutaceous. All the glutaceous
yes,
have animals.
a specific part of animals usually.
Yes.
The behinds, you know.
Exactly.
Um, but yeah, I think that I think it's because it's supposed to promote that kind of like free flowing
Fancy, fleet,
kind of. I'm a
fleetiness.
fish. I'm just flapping my little fins.
Yeah.
They don't flap them, right?
No, they don't because they're
Those
in
are
the
wings.
water. Yes, those
Yeah,
are wings because they're in the water and they
glide.
just
Just glide.
glide. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good way to put it. Okay, so no specific genre of music is your favorite to map. It's more of like the vibe and the feeling is what I'm getting from you.
Yeah, yeah. I like when things have a theme, you know, and like a through line, tell a story. And, you know, I think I had the most uh fun and kind of like very uh you know, enriching experience when working on the bass meditation, the sunrise bass meditation, because, you know, I was passionate about the music. You know, I had a hand helping to curate the playlist and just conceptualize kind of that workout, you know. Obviously, I know you guys talk about the original bass meditation that came out, I think, in 2021, somewhere
Yes.
early, like around the time I started. Um, but this was kind of, you know, influenced by that, obviously. And I think that, yeah, that it told the story, you know, from start to finish, both with your body and with your mind. And that's what I like to do. I mean, not everything is going to be like that. Some things are just going to be, let's just have some fun, you know? Uh,
Right.
but even if there's a story to be told, sometimes in like the song titles, like um, I will on occasion request things are, you know, moved. You know, they don't have to listen to me, but like if I feel like you know, the song titles tell a story in a different order, I might be like, let's just move that around.
I like
you
that
know.
idea. So you brought up one of my all-time favorite categories, the drop, bass meditation, that first workout that came out, but I was waiting for so long for more of them. So when the first week that Supernatural went to Monday drops versus daily drops, we were
Hmm.
gifted with the drop, two of them, a high and a medium, and you are responsible for the medium. The coolest thing about this medium, first of all, the breathwork triangles. Can we talk about those? Were those your idea?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad that you brought that up because there's a lot of great feedback that we've gotten about that workout. But there hasn't been that much about the breathwork triangles. And for me, it's not like a novel concept, but you know, over the past couple of years, I have been focusing on my mind and body a lot more. Um, and meditation is something that, you know, is I used to kind of like pan as being like, hippy dippy or something. And but now I've learned to accept it and it's become a daily thing. Literally every day. I do a nighttime meditation, but sometimes I do during the day as well. And I do a lot of just breath work. So um, I wanted a way to try to incorporate that in Supernatural without, you know, trying to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. And, uh, Doc has a lot of really great meditations.
Yes.
Um, and, you know, he also actually, I think, has one on box breathing, which it was kind of like the inspiration for the breathwork triangles.
Hmm.
Um, Essentially, there's no wrong way to do it, but you just let the triangles and the sound of the triangles and the tone and the music just kind of dictate when to inhale, exhale, hold, rinse, repeat. And I think that in the beginning of that workout kind of sets you up for success. Um, and it actually comes back, I think, just for a little bit in the second half of the song. And I feel like it's a great time to just like recenter and then, you know, flow your way through the rest. So,
Yes, most definitely. And the breathing, being reminded to breathe is something the coaches tell us to do all the time, right? And it's so important when you're working out, when you're exercising. And I feel like it really sets the tone for that workout. In a way, it opens you up. You're getting really in touch with the way your body feels, how the oxygen coming in feels, and it just sets you in a good spot for the beginning of this workout to give it your all. It is a medium. However,
yeah.
if you go into it with full intensity, full force, feel the music, it is like a high for me. And that's because I
Yep.
just love that workout so much. There's
Thank
also
you.
some new different tales in that workout that I find very
Yep.
interesting.
Yep. So, uh, I think that's something that I had pocketed from, I think, an accident at one point.
Hmm.
Um, and it's something that I knew that was we were capable of doing with our, you know, tools that we have. But it was kind of like, uh, you know, they're the same tails that we use for turns, you know. So they're typically, you know, I think somebody else has mentioned it, but sometimes we call them flag turns. You turn to the side, the double horizontal strikes.
Yep.
So that's usually the only time that you'll see them. Um, You can call them turn tails, chevron tails. I think there was people calling them vibration tails because they make your controllers vibrate more. Anything. But there was just something about kind of like trying to add something new aside from just the breathwork stuff throughout the workout that kind of connected both the sunrise and sunset uh, together. And I think that even though it's not a huge difference, I think it just lends itself to, you know, the flowiness and the direction. Because literally, they're a bunch of arrows, and what do arrows do? They tell you where to go. And
Right.
it's like, you know, what does meditation do? It tells you where to go. It tells you what to do,
Yes.
or it lets you be you. So I think like having more, I guess, arrows, does make it feel a little more meditative, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I love that workout. Man, the day that it came out, I was so excited. I freaked out because it had been years and did not disappoint, dude. It's such a fantastic workout. It's in my bookmarks. I save it, I play it when I need to just get in touch with myself and sort of let go and get outside of my own head because it allows for that. It gives you the space. The movement encourages it. Leanne encourages
Yep.
it. It's just, ooh, chef's kiss.
Yes.
Great, great
Leanne
workout.
was really, really, really like home run with the coaching on that one. And
Yeah.
our curators are really amazing. And it was just a pleasure working on that. And, you know, I, we'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm hoping that the bass meditations are something that we see more of. I made sure
Yeah.
to write supernatural and tell them that. Please, please, more of those.
Yes, definitely. I would love that as well. There's so much, there's a lot of stuff there too. That's not just fully electronic music, that still has similar elements, you know. But yeah, I think it's like that was just yeah, still it's like my wife's favorite workout too, I think.
Is it? She
Does it
loves it.
pretty
Oh,
one of yeah, she plays that one a lot and then she plays the full body chills like that somewhat older power workout. But
it's
like,
a
you know,
fantastic workout. Do you have
yeah.
songs in that workout?
I don't. I think that came out like
It,
um somewhere in my earlier days, if
hmm
I'm not mistaken. So um like maybe it was in 2022, but earlier or something like that.
it was early. I know that Politic, the Coldplay song, is a Lowry song.
Yes.
He's confessed
Yes.
to that. Um,
Hmm.
I absolutely
Hmm.
love that workout.
Yes.
So that's why I was like, Dave, do you have songs in that
Yep.
workout I don't know about?
And full circle, that's why, when I found out that he did the original bass meditation, I was like, please, please, come back. And, you know, he did the high and I did the medium, but I, I think those are elements that are um, kind of found with, between the both. And even the fact that, uh, Chelsea, who was the curator on that one, that, you know, the environments were intentionally chose into, like the cool down on the first one goes into the warm up on the second. So it's
Yes,
just a story,
it is a story.
and yeah, that was, yeah, it was super fun. So
I recommend if anyone's looking for a killer workout to play the original medium that came out a few years ago. I'll pop it up on the screen if you're watching YouTube. Then Dave's medium. Then
with
the
that direction.
high. Yeah. All back to back to back. And if you don't leave that workout feeling at peace, but also energized and oh, it's an experience. It is a story for sure.
You can't see it on the screen right now, but I still get, like goosebumps like all the time. Like I get that frisson, I think it's called frisson. Essentially that feeling, the chills and the goosebumps. Like I get that's triggered a lot by sound, smell, touch, a lot of different things. But
Right.
even just talking about the thing that gives me the chills will give me the chills sometimes. So it's
That's
like,
cool. Yeah.
it's I guess it's dopamine, but not exactly sure the science behind that, but has something to do with dopamine.
Yes, most
So,
definitely. And speaking of dopamine, I have to bring up another workout. It's another medium flow workout of yours, and it's an
uh-huh.
artist series, and it's Florence the Machine. I just played it yesterday. I love that workout. I love that workout. I will say, I make my own sort of quick hit ish with it. I play the first four songs and I leave Dog Days Are Over because I play that in another workout all the time. So when I'm looking for
I got it.
like, I want to play as many of my favorite workouts as possible. I'll cut one song out of something because I know I'll play it in this workout over here, you know? Um,
Yeah.
dude, Cosmic Love.
But yeah, that's Cosmic Love and You've Got the Love are the
Yes.
two that I did in that workout, and I'm pretty sure that Lowry did the other two, if I'm not
Yeah, it would
mistaken.
make
So it's kind
sense.
of similar. It
Hmm.
does make sense. Yeah. I yeah, that was one of my favorite maps for sure, Cosmic Love, because the juxtaposition of like the hard and soft moments in that song, it's just like kind of like almost like hit, it's like interval training almost because there are just these flowy moments and then there's these drummy moments and then there's like yeah, so it's uh she's Florence is an amazing singer and the band is amazing and this yeah, I loved that first
Were
series.
you a fan of Florence before you took on this workout or those songs in
Yeah,
the workout?
mhm. Yeah, I actually got the opportunity to catch her at a festival a couple of years, not a couple of years. I have no perception of time.
Same. I don't
Um,
either. Mm-mm.
I'm pretty sure I went to Montreal a couple times for a festival, and they were one of the headliners, and um, even not being like super close, you could feel like
Hmm.
her energy and the band's just energy from so far away, and
Yeah.
yeah, so I yeah, I love a lot of music. Um, I wouldn't say I'm like the biggest fan ever. I probably don't know every single song they've ever put out, but
Hmm.
the ones that I do know, I know very well.
Yeah.
And yeah, that one just spoke to me. So
Yeah, well, I'm glad because you can feel that it spoke to you. You could tell you were a fan of the song just based on the mapping alone. But to me, that map stands up to the test of time. Um, every time I get in, I find something new, some new way of moving in there that's just different than the time
yeah,
before. You know what I mean? I really enjoy that set.
yeah, I think that was probably the first time that I used like the super long tails. Like, I mean, I was starting to get a little braver, um, because as choreographers, we have, um, shared things that we use that are the most commonly used things, and everyone has versions of those things. But, we can also go in and create new things. And I think, like, yeah, I felt like that song deserved some experimentation. And yeah,
I'm glad you experimented. Please experiment, dude, because if that's what's coming out of your experiments, you're doing a good job. Doing a great job. Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah. So actually, I have a couple of artist series workouts, but I'm going to stay with flow. This
Okay.
one, I sort of had a feeling was coming out because we kept getting Madonna songs and other workouts. And I started noticing this pattern in Supernatural back then. It was like, oh, we're getting this song, and oh, I bet this is going to be an artist series soon. And artist series Madonna came out, and I may have squealed like, oh man, I recorded myself in every single one of these songs in my pajamas. I was so
Wow.
excited. Yes, yes,
Wow.
in my pajamas.
That's high
Into the
praise.
groove. I mean, this whole list. Which songs from the Madonna were yours? Do you remember?
Actually, the entire workout, but um, I think two of them. I want to say Vogue and uh, like a prayer were, I
Mm-hmm.
think, Asia maps originally,
Okay.
um, that I updated. But yeah, the entire workout, I think, yeah, that was like one of the first. I think that was the first artisters I did, you know, on my own or whatever. But
Right.
yeah, I just again, I'm not a Madonna stan. I like
Right.
she's a queen. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I just have a connection, you know, through my mom, who is like a really huge fan, and like I mentioned before, used to do aerobics, and like, I felt like I needed to hop on that one. Um, you know,
The sentiment and
basically,
connection to your mom.
yes, yes, and it's kind of like in her honor because she passed when I was younger, and I feel like even though she wasn't here when like VR fitness was around, I can just tell that she would freaking love it, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And I tried to like channel her vibe and her like, you know, electricity and just like put that into the workout. And it definitely was like a cathartic release.
Mm.
I don't necessarily like, um, yeah, I don't talk about that much, but I do think that uh, maybe that helps, like, with the whole process of,
I think so.
uh, yeah,
I think the connection that you have and the memories that you have of your mother and being an aerobics instructor, I'm sure back then, Madonna was huge back then. That's for me. I'm not a
yes,
Madonna stan either, but when I was growing up, it was massive for me when I was a kid, growing up in the
yes,
'80s. So
yep,
um, I could see why you would want to pick that to honor your mom and just the whole
yeah,
experience, listening to the music and mapping it for movement. Probably seeing your mom in your brain going, oh, she would have moved like this to this song. So let's
yep,
add that. I think that's really
yep,
cool that you were able to have that experience for yourself, but also to give it to the world. So when we
yes.
play that workout, we're sort of honoring your mom.
That's how I feel. Yeah, it's like, and there's nothing better than that because you can't change the past, and you're living in the now, and you want the now to shape your future. So I think like uh, yeah, if that's how that energy is put into the world and it helps other people, then I'm all for it. And yeah, I know there's a lot of people out there um, who, have lost friends and family members. And I know that people post about it all the time in the community. And the fact that, I can technically help other people going through similar things, it's all comes full circle and makes me feel like whole.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because Supernatural really, I know we touched on it earlier, but the combination of being in VR, moving, hearing the coaches, hearing the music, it is just a very cathartic experience for everyone. And then you have
Yeah,
music that you grew up with, or, music just like smell brings memories and feelings up. And to experience that while moving in VR in these gorgeous environments is unlike anything I ever thought possible, honestly.
yeah.
It's
Just a
mind
few
blowing,
short years ago, it's
right?
like, it, it's definitely, um, yeah, it's hard to really imagine a time before that, even though it wasn't that long ago. Like,
Right?
uh, you know, like 5 years ago, I mean, I knew I technically had a VR headset. I had like a Galaxy Gear that you put your phone in or whatever, and like you can do a few games or whatever. But it was only 4.5 years ago that I got my first like Quest, and uh, I really didn't know that this stuff existed because it kind of didn't. Um, and now we're here at a really awesome place. And I think that there's a lot of people discovering that this amazing blend of music and movement and immersion for the first time, and I'm all for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm into it. Boxing. I want to talk about your boxing because this week you had a pros only boxing come out. And I
Yes, I did.
believe it is the first pros only boxing you've mapped.
That is 100% correct. Yeah, I do feel like I think like medium flow and high box is kind of like if I were to pick an intensity and modality in each, those are the ones that I feel like are my like kind of like my Q zone, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I think that I tend to kind of be on the minus side often, because I like to with boxing like add a lot more defense and not be so like flurry heavy and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So I was a little like what's the word? Intimidated by pros because we've had a lot of them come out and they can be very polarizing.
Yes.
And I don't think that that was what was actually preventing me from doing it. It was just like I think I had to you know uh, just to get a little more confidence, and then yeah, that came out, and I'm very interested to see how that is received because I know it's still on like probably the minus side for a pros, but not necessarily a high either. So
Right. I would agree with that assessment. And the fact that it is called One Foot in the Rave is just so fitting for you. This being your first pros only, I thought it was fun. You had a lot of multi-lane work going on, and I'm a huge fan of multi-lane work. I thought you did that very well. A lot of defensive movement, a lot of slip holds that I enjoyed. The combinations engaged my brain. There, it was trickery, but it wasn't like flurry, 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 flurry. It didn't
yes,
it didn't hurt to try and hit the targets. I don't know how else to say it. Sometimes
no,
flurries, they don't allow you to set back up properly.
100%.
This was good.
And
This was good.
I think in my mind, I have, an analytical approach to most stuff, I do at work, like, where I there's a little bit of balance and symmetry. And obviously it's not going to be 100% symmetric, depending on like stance changes and the length of the song and all those factors. But I do feel like I make a considerable effort to create as much symmetry as possible without it making it feel like repetitive or boring. And like, I think in this one in particular, uh, I started to experiment with like minor like level changes, which is not something that I normally was doing in boxing because I feel like uh, if you do it too much, and what I mean by level changes, obviously, I think you know what I'm talking about, but for people who don't, like it's just uh, placing, you know, boxing targets like at slightly lower, higher kind of levels than they normally would be. Like, I've been using ducks under duck hold. We call them duck holds, like, or not duck holds, like lower duck or duck hook, where you put like a hook underneath the duck.
Hmm.
I've been using that, but aside from that, I basically put the targets where they typically are. And in this one, I was trying to kind of lead you into these things. So if there was a series of straight punches, and then at the end of that series was um, a duck hook, there would be a little bit of descending, you know, I'm not sure if that was really like visible or noticeable, but it was very minor and I still felt like it did the job, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I think like uh, it definitely ramped up from the start to finish.
Hmm.
Um, so I definitely want to do more in the future. And I'd like to do a lot of different other genres too. So
Yeah, besides just EDM. I could
yeah,
see
which don't get me
you.
wrong, it was great.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And it was the first time Supernatural's gotten a Paul Oakenfold song too. I was so
That
surprised by
yeah.
that. I was like, "Oh, cool. Look at us. We're getting Paul Oakenfold in here."
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I could see you doing like a punk style high boxing or pros
Yep.
boxing maybe. Um, that
Definitely.
would be fun.
Um, yeah, I think that there was another workout that now that you brought that up, that punk you um
Oh yeah,
high
the
boxing.
high boxing. It's called Need for Speed. Lightning
Yes.
strikes.
So that obviously was my subtitle. That was my suggestion.
Was it?
Um, yeah, yeah. I
Oh,
mean,
good job.
uh, yeah, I think that obviously, if you don't know, I like puns and kind of dad joke puns, things that are probably not that funny, but it's kind of like, aha. Anyway, so because these are all like high tempo punk songs and there's knee strikes that just immediately. Oh, and there's a song, The Damned Neat Neat Neat. I don't want
Yeah.
to say it three times fast. So I don't know. There was just something about that just spoke to me, and I think it was the first, yeah, punk you with knee stripes and it was high boxing, and I feel like the density of the targets was a little higher than the standard high boxing, but I thought it was like a fun, raucous, like 13 minutes or something. Like it was pretty short for a full
Yeah.
workout, because the songs are short. But I think that's probably top five most fun I've had mapping a workout, I think.
Oh, well, that's good to know. So you said medium flow is your sweet spot and high boxing is your sweet spot.
Typically, yeah,
Yeah,
typically.
I like that. And then you also had at the towards the endish of 2022, there was a girl power with Dawana, Unbreakable Spirit. And that's a 16-minute one and it has classic supernatural songs in it like Bulletproof, Titanium. It's also got another Florence the Machine song in Spectrum.
Yes, yes,
Do you remember mapping that one? Because that one's
I
sort of
do.
a high plus ish, if I'm honest.
Funny because I will have to double verify this,
Sure.
but I am 99.9% sure that that was the first high box I did.
Oh,
Um,
really? That's cool.
I think before that I had done some maybe like a medium, some low, whatever, but not a. That was the first. I'm pretty sure first high boxing I did. And I think I played it kind of recently, and although we've added a lot of new types of movements, I still think that it's still a lot of fun, and empowering, and I love the music and the message, and yeah, I think it's not like reinventing the wheel, but it just kind of hits
Right.
all the places that it needs to, at least for me. So
Right. So when you get a workout, I know the way, the curators come up with the set list, then they kind of have an idea of the category. So girl power, for example. And you get that and you look at it. Are you like basing the movements on like powerful moves? Like you said you like to tell a story. So is
yeah.
that part of your process? You get it from the curators and you're like, okay, so this is girl power, this is just dance. Let's make sure they feel like fish in here, or make sure they're super powerful.
Yep.
Is that kind
So
of the way you do that?
yeah, I mean it does vary obviously from like flow to um boxing. I think with flow, depending on what the music is, uh and if there's like music videos and stuff like that, like I think a lot of us like to check out music videos, or like even like if there are like kind of like homebrew choreographer
Yeah.
choreo videos on
Yeah.
YouTube, sometimes check that stuff out. Um, Other times I'll go in blind, not you know, it really depends. With boxing, I feel like there's still some inspiration to be taken from that stuff, but it's not as like easy, like because
Yeah.
unless there's like a fight going on in the music video, no,
Truth,
which is
though.
kind of rare.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that uh, I don't go from start to finish really ever. Um, I kind of go wherever I go,
Yeah.
and I think in some ways going from like A to B to C to D or one to whatever, I think can kind of, it's not artificial, but it's like um, almost like forced. Like
Yeah.
you know that you're pushing it a little higher, and like you could kind of feel it. And while that's good, I think sometimes like uh, there's like more not mystery, mystique, I guess, around just kind of having things not necessarily feel like they were literally done one after another. So yeah, if I can, I will usually hop into like the first song, and then maybe like it just depends on what I'm doing, but I feel like I almost never do like from start to finish. So
Right. Got it.
yeah.
I think that would be my way as well. It's like, which song do I want to? I'll just pick a song. I won't start with the actual set list. That is probably the way
Yep.
I would do it too. Oh, man.
Yeah. And it depends also like, if they're like something like the drop, if a lot of the songs are like the same tempo or something, like there could be patterns that you build like for boxing, like certain combos, like, jab, cross, hook, uppercut, slip, and then you take that combo and you can probably use that combo in most of the songs in different ways. And then sometimes like if you leave notes for whoever's coaching it, they'll talk about it in the warm up. That way you're ready for it. Like,
Right.
so in a way, it kind of does help, at least for me, to not try to, um, yeah, go from A to B. So,
Hmm.
like everything in
So,
life. So,
exactly. It's just, I'm not an
yeah.
A to B person. Then to C, I'm like all over. Let's just go everywhere.
Hmm. Yep.
You mentioned that the Madonna Artist Series Flow was your first like full artist series workout that you were responsible.
Yes.
Well, a month later, the Queen Artist Series came out. And I know in y'all's world, it's not like you work on this, then that, and then this, and then that. It comes out in all sorts of different times. But it came out to us, to the community, a month later.
Yep.
Medium boxing queen. Are you responsible for the whole workout too? Or do you work with
Yes.
multiple people? Oh, cool. Oh,
That one, that one I think was like, mm, I would say all the maps in that workout are definitely mine. But I don't know if there were ones that existed in some way before, because we've had Queen, but there was times that we, you know, I think lost some songs and then they came
mm-hmm.
back or whatever.
Yes.
And also I feel like it was like when boxing was introduced, there wasn't a ton of it. I don't know. I really don't know. But I'm pretty sure that those were all original maps, if not like 4 out of 5. And Um, yeah, that was so much fun as well. Um, Another kind of like you know, music that my parents listen to, and it's like another nod to them as well. But yeah, I think while I loved every single map, I would say Bicycle Race
Hmm.
and probably Somebody to Love,
Yeah.
are my two favorites, just because they're like polar opposites.
Yes.
And Bicycle Race was chaos and insanity and like what I feel like is going on in my brain all the time. And then Somebody to Love is like the opposite of that. So,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, that gave me, I'm talking about chills.
Aw.
And I think first time I used the disco rainbow pride joy ball.
Oh, you said joy
I
ball.
stopped myself. I don't know if you caught that.
I did. I
I
did.
almost
But then you did.
I almost said the other thing. No,
Uh, yeah, that thing. We don't say that one on this podcast. Yeah, Somebody to Love. First of all, that is a 5-minute song. When you
indeed.
get songs like that are like 4+ minutes long, are you like, whoa, what am I going to do here? What am I going to do for this entire song? Does it freak you out?
That one, that one, not so much because it's almost like a couple different songs.
Yeah.
And there's with a lot of Queen, it's kind of like A or B again. Like We Will Rock You is kind of like uh stomp stomp clap. It's like
Hmm.
that is the song basically. But then you have things like Bohemian Rhapsody and Somebody to Love that are like kind of like multiple short songs sandwiched
Yeah.
together, woven, like kind of, yeah. And I think with that song in particular, um, yeah, I think if it's something that's like repetitive in 5 minutes, I feel like I would have a little bit more almost disdain for it,
Right.
um, because they want to keep it original and fun. Um, but yeah, that one was super
Music
great.
that's changing and in multiple songs in one song is probably the best to map, I would imagine, because you
Yes,
can use your
yes.
creativity and do so many different things in it.
Yep.
Where,
I,
yeah.
I know that like with the flow workout, I know that was like one of the first, I think, like really collaborative maps. I didn't work on the Bohemian Rhapsody when that first came out, but I know there was four choreographers on that one, and I mean it deserved it. I mean it's a long song with a lot of parts.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and then the only other that I can off the top of my head, Freebird's the only other song that had that many choreographers on that, and
Hmm.
uh, that I did work on, um, but that's a totally different workout.
It is, but this gave me a really cool idea, and I'm going to put it out in the universe. We
Sure.
need more longer songs so that we can get you guys working together on one song. Because if we only have Bohemian Rhapsody and Freebird as like a legit multi choreographer mapped song, we need longer songs. 9,
I
10,
agree.
13 minutes, some tool. We get some tool, please?
Oh man, I mean, me and Justin are already trying to, I that it would be great. I think that there are some logistical things, like because obviously there aren't as many. Um, First off, and then out of that, like there are some that meander for a while and aren't necessarily like if the song is that long, there usually is at least a few points that are very
Yes.
low.
Too
So
slow. Yeah.
exactly. So unlike Freebird where it ramps and then never goes down. So
Right.
I think that I agree, and I feel like it would be great to have like, I think this has been mentioned before, but like a full like DJ set or something like, where there's no real gaps Like I'll do it. I'll do the DJ set. No. Um, but yeah, that would be great because like I think people are always asking for ways to chain things together and make longer workouts. So,
Right.
um, you know, I think that would be a cool way to collaborate and also get longer pieces of content out there. So,
Yeah. That would be kind of neat. And then with that kind of music as it's ebbing and flowing while there would be no true break, um, it would be a really good hit workout for sure. I could see that.
yeah, 100%.
That'd be kind
Um,
of cool.
yeah, it would be great. I think we mm, had some things that kind of like are in that vein, but they always have the traditional, you know,
End a song.
couple seconds
Yeah.
interstitial between the two.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Hmm. That'd be neat. So, do you have a favorite move that you like to use often in your maps? Flow. Let's go with flow first.
Um, I think like it's hard to say. I feel like I don't use it as much as some other people, but a lot of like single arm kind of flowy movements. Like we have something that we refer to as a duster tail, which is very commonly used. It's just kind of a back and a forth, you
Uh
know?
huh. Yeah.
And I think like it's a very simple move, but it can be used in conjunction with, other things. And sometimes like, you can be doing to, I think like Cosmic Love is a good example of whereas using that and then the other arm doing kind of like, interdependent
Yes.
things. So I like that. I like having, you know, doing two separate things, but that are still readable and fun and doable. And yeah, I like using windmills. Those are
Yeah.
super fun. Not
Yes.
overusing them, but just the little hints of windmills in there. And then I would say um, if I do some multi-lane work, I like just what I call like yeah range of motion or whatever moves where especially into squats for some reason I don't know
Mm.
why it feels good but even if it's just like two outward facing tails into that's like kind of I don't know if that's a me signature thing but when I do multi-lane I do that a lot where it's
Yeah.
like two tails into you know left and right um downward hits into a squat and that
Mm-hmm.
for me even though it you could technically do the same exact movement um, because the targets come to you. I think the visual cue is telling you, let's do a little bit more. Let's put a little
Yeah.
more into it, you know? And I think, yeah, that's the same with all the multi-lane stuff. Because if you have like forward facing only on, you're not going to see it.
Yeah.
But if you don't, like, I think it just promotes that extra range
I
of
agree.
motion.
Yes, it
Yeah.
encourages you to be bigger, to be flowier, and then the power of going out and then down into a squat. Love that. Love that. That's
Yes.
a power hit. You know, that makes you want to be powerful. It makes you feel powerful. Um,
100%.
you spoke about windmills, and it reminds me of a song. It's in one of my absolute favorite workouts. You have the two last songs in it. It's Joy Go Do It with Mark. It's from February of 2023. I remember the day that came out. I played it 3 times back to back. I sent two friends separate messages. I said, record the end. You record Go Do. Send it to me. Let's do this. You know, like right away, immediately. And you have the end, which featured this complex two I don't even know how to explain it. The windmills. It was so new at the time. No one had ever done that in that way. And it was so fun. It's like the longest windmill section, in flow and a
Most
high
likely.
flow. It was really fun.
Um,
It's a great workout.
yeah, I that actually I actually was not familiar with that song in particular, even though I've heard Mr. Lives before. And for some reason, the first thing that comes up is Mark's joke about the end not being the
Yes.
end.
Yes.
That's obviously right at the top, and I'm like, yeah. So anyway,
Perfect.
besides the end not being the end, yeah, I think like the last like I don't know, half of that song is Windmills.
It is.
Um,
It
but but
is. It's great.
but not overwhelming. Like it's still like
Mm-mm.
a comfy, maybe even like
Yes.
uh kind of bounces between like a high minus and a high plus in some areas.
Hmm.
And yeah, I just felt like that's another one where it's like it the music totally not that it doesn't ever. I mean, it always dictates what you're gonna do, but that one really stood out as like, okay, I'm gonna, I didn't even need to question what I was doing there when it happened, you know?
You knew immediately. And so the back half of that song, when the windmills happen, they happen twice. And it's for a long amount of time. But then towards the back half, you start spinning us and spinning us. And I absolutely love that part. And then we come back into the windmills in the original portal, and it's like three portals. Oh man, it's fantastic. That is a really fun song map. It gives me all the feels. But
Yes.
the next one, Go Do by Jonesy, that is a magical song, then a magical map in a magical location. It's like the trifecta of things. Um,
Yes.
Tell us about Go Do.
Okay. This has a good story because I have kind of for as long as I could remember, probably since high school, been obsessed with Iceland, and I have been into a lot of Icelandic artists, bands, DJs, musicians, all that stuff. And Jónsi is the singer of Siguros, and they are an Icelandic band that is like really huge in Iceland and the rest of the world, but just not necessarily like radio music because it's kind of like a little more abstract, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, this side project that he did was a little bit less abstract and a little, even though there's still some kind of funky stuff in there, it sits well alongside indie rock, and it's not as like his band was more like walls of sound.
Mm-hmm.
This is like more approachable music that's fun and happy, not like, oh my God, this is so intense. What's going on? I love it, but what's going on?
Right.
So that song I actually got the chance to see live too, which was really amazing.
Oh, wow.
Years ago, they did I think like he did one tour, and when he came through New York, I saw it, and as soon as I saw that song come through, Curation, I was like, yes, please, please, please. Um, and not only did, I map it, but obviously not obviously, but I suggested doing it in Blue Lagoon, because, you know, not only is he from Iceland, but that's where I spent my honeymoon. And it's actually the first thing I did when we got to Iceland was went straight to the Blue Lagoon. So, yeah, it just kind of I felt super connected to that song, that location, um, everything about it. And I think we used the song again recently, and I don't think it was in Iceland.
It
Um,
wasn't.
but but there was also there's some different moves in that too, just like
Mm-hmm.
very minor changes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give it a pass.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
going to be honest with you. It broke mine and Julia's brain, the new version, because one, we're very connected to the location of certain maps. And for us,
Yeah.
that song, that map is connected to Iceland, to the Blue Lagoon. So
Yeah.
it was an updated map, and you updated a little bit. And I was like, well, what has he done to our song? And then it was in a new environment, you know?
Yeah.
But it's great. It's still great. It did throw us off. We were like, is this different? Is this new? Is this the same? We can't tell. We were like going back and forth, doing this workout
Yep.
together. But I love that for you, you have this emotional connection to the song, to the location, to the band. It came out in your movements, and now we in turn have an emotional connection to the song, to the band, to the workout.
100%.
We
And
picked Go Do for our huge end of the year side by side last year, where
oh yeah, I remember that.
I
Yeah.
told Julia, okay, so our last record was 110 people. This year, let's beat that. And she was like, okay, Marla. So we picked Go Do because it was just perfect. The whole vibe of it, the idea, Mark's coaching in that one is top notch. And
Yeah.
we wanted the whole community, anyone who wanted to send in a video to experience that map and that song. And you did a beautiful job on it, dude. Beautiful job. One of my
Thank you.
all-time favorite. Top 10.
Awesome. That's great. And I think like, there's some music that I feel like there maybe people wouldn't necessarily think of as like workout music, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more like uh yeah, I think it might not be something that you listen to every day or whatever, but if the movements are there and the pieces kind of fall into place, then it can become like, exhilarating. Even if it's something that maybe if you listen just like on a random Wednesday on Spotify or something, it would just be like maybe a skip. I wouldn't, but I'm just saying, like,
Yes.
there are definitely songs out there that feel amazing to move to, but I wouldn't listen to.
Right. It's it's a funny sort of juxtaposition if you think about it. Like you wouldn't listen to it normally. You wouldn't think, "Oh, I'll dance in this, I'll move in this." But you put it in an environment. You create a map. You put it all together with a coach, and you're like, "I can't not think about moving to this song now," you know? There's
Yep.
so many like that I've discovered in Supernatural. Part of the magic
Yes.
that you guys create.
Yeah, it's definitely a juxtaposition, like you said, and I think I'm always amazed at what, like, when I joined the community, like, as an athlete, and I saw, like, you know, people moving and really enjoying music that I would not expect them to, like, a lot of, like, dubstep and, like, really gritty electronic music, like, I mean, the Centipede Challenge is, like,
Right.
kind of like a really great example of that. Like, I mean, in reality, would 90% of the people who played that workout and really got into that song have listened to it organically?
No,
I don't think so.
I don't
Like, they
either.
would have probably heard it and been like, what the heck?
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
so yeah, it's just, the right everything falls into place and then, it becomes this incredible experience.
Yeah, for sure. So, have you thought about how your mapping style has evolved from the beginning? Let's say not your first map or your first two maps, but like,
Yeah.
once you started feeling like, oh, okay, this is my job. I'm a choreographer. I make maps. How does that evolve, or has it evolved from then to now? What you're putting out?
No, it's exactly the same. I've never changed anything.
Well, it's
I'm
funny.
joking.
I know you are. You are the.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I need to let people know that you are the biggest goofball. You like to troll people. You like to joke. Your dad jokes. Your puns. You're absolutely
But I always
hilarious.
fess up like really
You
quickly.
do. You do. You do. You can't. You're like you're
Too
like a
quick.
little kid. You're like, oh, I gotta tell him the truth. I gotta tell him the
Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah. Boy who cried wolf. No.
truth.
But yeah. Wait.
I
Totally forgot.
think for me as an outsider, playing your work, going through your workouts, playing some of your super old ones, and then playing, say, bass meditation, the new medium that you put out. I see a lot more freedom. I see a lot more confidence in your movement placements. Um, I see more creativity. Like
Yeah.
you're like,
That,
okay, well, let's just put this here and see what it feels like. Oh, that feels good. I see
mhm.
progress. I see
I think
you getting better,
that that makes a lot of sense. And I think you know, it's been over 3 years now. And I think that I not the whole first year, but around like let's just say the first year was really finding the stride, and kind of like I feel like a lot of it was emulating what I was seeing like in other maths,
Yeah.
and not really like, venturing too far away from what we call our snippets, what people use, like, so it was be my map, but comprised of kind of free, like, predetermined pieces, essentially, like a
Yeah.
puzzle that, the pieces were already created and I put the puzzle together. Whereas like now I feel like I'm not only creating the pieces themselves and then creating the puzzle, if that analogy makes sense.
It totally
Um,
makes sense. I get that.
yeah. And it feels like that also coincides with my own journey as just a human being on this rotating sphere. You know, my mind and body wellness journey, which started around the time, pretty much that I started Supernatural and has, you know, gotten exponentially more important to me and has grown. I think that there's definitely parallels, like, between moving movement and between meditation and between just caring about what I eat and like not like going out partying and stuff like that. Like all of those things kind of go hand in hand and come together to uh I feel like inspire and help me put out better things and think more clearly and be more creative. Yeah.
Yeah. I totally I can totally see that. And one of my I was going to ask you, how has Supernatural impacted your life? And I think you just answered that without being prompted to answer that, just the
Yes.
whole journey of bettering yourself. And in the end, it allows you to be more creative, put out better work, give to the world better. Um, I
Yes,
think
and
that's
it's
beautiful.
full circle, obviously I mentioned this, but there's so many people out there who were where I was, like where I just couldn't really find something that I liked, and I kind of just thought that that was going to be this, the status quo going forward, that I wouldn't, ever really, I wasn't like really too upset about it. It was just something that I accepted, that I probably wouldn't be like a gym person or I wouldn't be
Yeah.
fit or whatever. But, you know, not even just from a physical standpoint, but from an emotional standpoint too. It's like everyone goes through things, whether it's grief or, health related things or, even like financial things, just
Yeah.
everybody is always going through something. And, you can't really compare people's problems. But the one thing that I feel like is consistent is that there is always something that you can do about it. And if that something is supernatural and if it's helping people, it just like, that just motivates me even more, you know?
Yeah, it's the positive feedback loop, you know? Um,
100%.
I definitely see that. And Supernatural, I know you know, but Supernatural has helped me in my own life regulate my emotions, help me feel better about myself, all around health. Like, it's really changed my entire life. Sometimes I go as dramatic as it has saved my life, more times
Yeah,
than I can count. And what you guys do every day makes a huge impact. Makes a huge impact in so many of us. And I hope
yeah,
you can take that in and know that we really mean it genuinely when we say that. you know?
they do. Yeah, I, I do absorb that, and I know that the others do. There's definitely some like small, like subconscious, like imposter syndrome that kind of creeps up sometimes. Just, you know, but um, there's a really easy way to, combat that is just to look at the community and just like
Yep.
just read things and hear feedback or just play a workout, not even one
Yep.
of my own, just like I'm a part of this. And even if I didn't have this job, I think that I would have significantly benefited from Supernatural because I had over a year of being an athlete and I totally like it
You get
was
it.
obviously setting me on the right path, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think things would be very different without it, and I do think that everything kind of happens for a reason, which actually kind of brings me to something that I was going to mention really early on. But I I don't know if you've ever been curious about what my Instagram uh, handle was and meant.
Yes, I just didn't want to pry and be like, "Hey, Dave, what is this about?"
Yeah. Okay. So it's kind of like I don't know if I'd call it a pun, but so my last name is pronounced, well, we pronounce it Kassirer. Um, you know, and the phrase que sera sera, which is not actually Spanish or Italian or French. It's kind of just like it's a song from the 50s. I think it was like Doris Day, and it's supposed to mean whatever will be will be.
Mhm.
That was like my family mantra growing up. It's like whatever will happen, and like you have to make the best of it and move forward. And so, Hey Sarah was my DJ name, my alias, like all that kind of stuff. And so that's why that's actually my Instagram handle. But I do feel like um, it has become my mantra for sure. And I think that there's so many things that I didn't do. I wouldn't be here right now. Um, and I'm so grateful for that. Like, yeah, I got a targeted ad for Supernatural on Facebook, which came full circle. Um, and if I didn't see that ad, then I might not be here. If I didn't interact with something that triggered that ad in the first place, I wouldn't be here. If, I know, yeah, there's just so many like whole, I guess, butterfly effect, if you
Yes.
will, um, situations that really, really just lead up to today
Yeah.
and tomorrow. So,
hmm
but
So,
that was just a little tidbit. Yeah.
so basically, your mantra and the whole way you live your life is let it be what it's going to be. embrace it.
Yeah. It's kind of like everything, it's very cliche, but everything happens for a reason.
It does.
And just it was, it's not a novel idea to live in the now, but what I like to say is to live in the now, learn from the past, and work towards the future. Um, because all three of them exist,
Mm-hmm.
they're just in different states of time. And I think that you have to kind of accept all three, past, present,
Yes.
future, um, to have the best now. Right?
You're absolutely right about that. You're absolutely right about that. When you put it in that way, I have a trouble staying in the now. I'm a future person. And
Mhm.
occasionally I get stuck in the past. And
Of
so
course.
bringing it forward to now, here in this moment, this present moment, what we're doing, um, everything it's led up to this moment, you know? And I'm a big believer in that. So I totally relate with that. And now I know where your Instagram handle came from. And instead of being like, what is this dude on
And how
about?
to pronounce my name.
And how to pronounce your name, because I did not
Yes,
say your last name at the beginning.
that's
um,
fine. It's fine.
Now it makes
I
total sense.
Yes, and it's actually it's good that I didn't start with that honestly, because um, it's a nice little tidbit
It is.
now. Um, and yeah, it's just like a play on my last name and the mantra all in one. And
It's
um,
very Dave.
yeah,
It's very Dave.
exactly. Um, it, it was either that or Dance Dance Davy again, which would also be like, so
But I know that's an old school nickname for you, but I'm going to change
yeah,
it up today and it's going to be Dance Dance Ravy. Sorry. Not sorry.
that's fine. I'm cool with that. That's fine.
2.0, version 2.0.
6.7. I don't know. I
So,
feel like we've all gone through way too many,
too
way
many.
more metamorphosis.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
Good way to put it. Joy balls.
for sure.
I'm going to bring up
Yes.
joy balls again because they are my favorite. Do you have a favorite one you like to use?
Uh, this probably won't come as a surprise, just because of like my existence, but I like what we internally call plexus, but I'm not sure where the name exactly came from. Uh, but it's the geometric, almost constellation looking one that I used in Cosmic Love.
Yes.
Maybe one of the first times I used it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, that, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like it's one ball that, is connected by a bunch of lines and kind of grows like almost like an organism, and then it's gone. And I don't know, it's pretty, but it also, I feel like, says something. So,
Yeah. It's
uh,
meaningful to you. Um,
yeah,
and
I like
that's,
geometry.
yeah. And that's seriously the theme of this episode for me, having you here and talking to you. It's something that's woven in through all of this is you're all about connecting meaningful moments, the now. It totally does not surprise me that that's your favorite joy ball. And I'm
Yeah,
sure you would
but I
like
like,
use it all the
yeah,
time if you could.
yes, and I would like an actual like constellation type,
Hmm.
um, you know, like legitimate. I would love if it would be like, uh, you know, Ursa Minor, like
That would
actual
be so
constellations.
rad. Yes,
Yes,
that would be
that's my
rad.
other alias, by the way. Name
Oh,
drop.
really? Oh, well now we know all your aliases.
Yes, 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 yes. Um, yeah.
Well, now I'm really interested to hear your answer to this next question. I've been asking all the choreographers, and I thought about taking this question off because I feel like a lot of you guys answer in the same way. I'm gonna be honest, but I don't
Yeah,
want to.
I think I know.
I'm gonna leave it here because I'm interested to know your answer. And If you could like just poof and do a different job in Supernatural, trade jobs with someone, you don't have to be good at it. You'd just be going to just do their job because you're interested in it. What job would you pick?
So, um, I feel like I probably should have thought about this more, but something does stand out, and
Okay.
I think we have these are probably a couple different positions, but um, I believe they're referred to as technical artists or like a creative lead designer. Um, Basically, they work on things like environments and Easter eggs. um, you know, I'm talking about internal. No. Anyway, environments, joy balls, effects like, tails and all these different types of things. And, uh, I have obviously experience with design and even more recently with VR, like, using Unity and I just, yeah, something about it, fascinates me. And
Hmm.
I feel like if I could have like a hybrid job where I did a little bit of that and a little bit of this, that'd be cool.
That would be really cool. And I'm so glad you picked the visual aspect of it, the environments or the joy balls or the tails, and that would be really cool. And I would love to chat with someone from who makes the environments, the 3D environments we're all in, because I know
Yeah,
it's a multi-step approach. They take pictures,
100%.
they build things. It's like a whole design. I mean, how cool and involved in the detail in those
Yes.
environments.
That's the
That would
icing
be
on the
fun.
cake, you know?
It is.
The icing on the cake.
Definitely. Speaking of cake, Julia will kill me if I do not ask you this question. She will come find us and hunt us down.
Okay,
Favorite food?
I believe you.
Favorite food or
Um,
favorite snack? You
well,
could give me your favorite snack too. Either one.
I'm like a really, 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 really big sweet person.
Oh,
I don't want to pick that as my favorite food because I feel like if you lived on, let's say, like cookies or something, like you probably wouldn't really live very long. Now,
no.
so food, um, you know, my boring answer would be pizza. That would be
Oh,
my boring answer.
okay.
But I can make it a little bit more spicy by saying Indian,
Mm,
um, like chicken korma, tikka
yes.
masala, stuff like that.
Yes.
And even more spicy by saying not New York pizza, if I'm talking about pizza, and not Chicago. There's actually a little lesser known pizza. It's New Haven style, so Connecticut. And it's actually my favorite pizza, um, bar none.
Oh.
I used to drive like hours to pick up a couple pies.
Hmm.
Check it out if you're ever in Connecticut.
I'm gonna have to now because I don't think I've ever heard about this Connecticut pie
Yeah,
before.
yeah. And they have some of them in New York now too, but I mean, I guess like I'm a bad New Yorker for saying that, but
I was
whatever.
gonna say you said not New York pizza, and I'm thinking all of
I mean, I love it,
your
but
New York homies are about to come for you because they're like, "What? Really?"
don't hurt me. No, but
That's awesome. I could get down with that. So you're bringing the pizza and the Indian food to our potluck then. Got it.
or even
Got you down.
together,
Oh,
some chicken korma pizza,
that sounds fire.
right?
Is
Right?
this a thing or are you making this up? Because I feel like you need to make
I'm
it
sure
more.
it is. I've
Okay.
had it on flatbread.
Yeah.
I've had it on a
Hmm.
flatbread actually.
And I mean, you eat it
So
with naan, so
yeah,
it would
yeah.
go
So it's just
perfect.
together. There you go.
Hmm. I had
Let's do it.
I had chicken korma for dinner last night, actually.
Really?
So
That's
yeah, it's
awesome.
perfect that you said that.
Spicy.
Okay.
No, it's actually not
The
spicy at all. That's like the
It's not
yeah,
so mild, so mild.
yeah,
In Indian food dishes, it's super mild. Um,
yes.
yeah, it's got like little raisins in it too. Oh man, now I know what I'm eating for lunch. Dave's got me all sidetracked on the food now. No, it's Julia's fault. This is Julia's question. Blaming her.
I should have said her cookies. No.
You should. We definitely need
Yeah.
to. So, as you know, I'm sure because I know you watch the podcast. I always ask people if they were going to pick an emoji animal to use as a hug reaction, what would you pick?
Okay, I'm gonna turn it and say, what would you think I picked?
Oh gosh.
I will give you the answer and tell you if you're right, but what do you think I would pick?
I feel like I need to pull up my keyboard real quick. And look. Okay, here we go. I think
It's cheating.
it is cheating. I asked this question and I don't even know all the animals. I'll be honest. When I picked my emoji animal, I stopped looking at them. Okay. I want to say the blue dinosaur for some reason.
Nope.
No. What is it? What
Well,
is
it's
it?
okay.
That
A
that's the one I would
panda.
pick. A panda. Oh, why would you
Yeah.
pick a panda?
And the story is basically that um that's my wife and I's nickname is Bear. Instead of Babe, we say Bear.
Oh,
Some people do that.
yeah.
But our first Halloween, we dressed up as a panda and a koala, and that kind of always stuck with me. I love bears in general, but out of the emoji ones, that's the one I like the most. But I also have this bear, um,
Yeah.
and I have a bunch of other bears scattered throughout my office. Um, but yeah, the panda. It's just, the I like the contrast. I like the pandas in general. But yeah, panda, 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 panda.
I love that. And if I would have been just a little bit more observant, I might have gotten that correct. You put me on the
If there,
spot today.
that's what I do. No.
It is.
Um, they don't have puffins though.
Well, that's
I would
what
pick puffins. No.
that's what I was looking for. I was like, is there a puffin? Because I know
Nope.
makes sense. Iceland puffin out. You're sentimental. So I was trying to connect it in my head real quick. I was like, but there's no puffer in here, man.
Good
Yeah.
detective work.
Yeah, I try. So every
Yes.
week we leave the audience with a workout suggestion. Would be
Yes.
awesome if you picked out that suggestion this week.
Um, so there's a lot, but
Right?
I feel like one of the ones, or no, probably top three most like meaning for me would probably be. It wasn't the first Indestructible, but it was like one of the first. When that came back. The medium flow with Mark,
It is with
right?
Mark.
Flow meets body.
Yes.
Um, because start to finish, it's just like they're not bangers, but they're bangers. It's just
They
like
are.
you know, uh, it runs the gambit of like that whole indie spirit. It sounds kind of like a soundtrack for a movie, which I think a lot of those songs were. But
They were.
anyway, Flow Meets Body, um, that was a lot of new stuff for me. And again, one of the first ones I did, I think, like completely. So that was, yeah, that's my recommendation.
I love that you picked this one because the set starts with a Postal Service song. And like I was huge into Postal Service, like back in the day. And I
Yep.
know Such Great Heights in older workouts was one of your maps. And so you got to
Yes.
kind of redo it for this one, which I thought was really rad.
Yep.
And so we get an updated version for Such Great Heights.
hmm And I've actually done that in low, medium, and high.
Yeah, that's like
So
your
it's
song.
one of the only ones that I've done that in, and yeah, low, medium, and high. Um, so yeah, just be on lookout for those. But
The second song, I Feel It All, has this move in it where it feels like you're giving yourself a hug. That
yes, that's
is
totally
what
intentional.
is it? Is it really? Because
Yeah,
that is what I call a real Easter egg. That's a real
feel it
Easter egg.
all, and then your
Yes.
wings are wide.
Yes.
So there's yeah, definitely intentional. That's I didn't even mention that, but like I definitely try the lyrical stuff. Like I really love to do like kind of hugging kind of motions when there's like, like a sweet disposition has that too.
Yes. I was just getting to
It's a
that
kind of hugging
sweet.
motion.
I
And
love that song.
hearttails and yeah, all that stuff.
Yes.
So.
The map
But
for
yeah,
sweet disposition, man. I'm so happy the day that this worked. This is another workout that it came out, it dropped, and I played back to back to back. Like I played it, got out of the headset, sent messages, everyone play this workout. And like I recorded Sweet Disposition on my first playthrough. I just knew I had to capture it. And then sent messages. Okay, record this, record that. We're recording this whole set, everyone. So I love that this is your workout suggestion.
awesome. Yeah, I mean, I probably should play it again too. It's been a while,
Yes.
but
Yeah. You're gonna
but
have to
yeah,
play it
I
when
think
your episode comes out.
yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Which is now.
It is. It is for the people, for the audience. It
Yeah,
is now. So make
this
sure
is live.
you make sure you check Dave's journey. Make sure he played this workout with us since he suggested it,
Yes, yes.
And when people are done with the workout or any workouts they do, very importante, look to the left and rate it. Like, love, give all the reasons you liked or loved it. You can even hit other and it will generate a email. And then you can send detailed feedback. Like,
Yes.
this song, they made me hug myself when they said feel. Like, put that in the email, like that would be fantastic. They want to hear from
We
us,
see it.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah, we see that stuff. So
You guys talk
rate
about
it.
it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Rating it
Thank you.
is how they know to give us more like that, or yeah, no, we're not into that today. You
Yeah.
know?
It's the easiest, most surefire way to get your opinion heard, and yeah, do it.
Awesome. Well, just want to say thank you, Dave, for coming on and hanging out with me today and letting the community meet you. Now you guys all
Of
know
course.
Mr. Rave. That's what I call him. No, his name is Dave.
That's fine. Well, it's been a pleasure. And yeah, I just super excited about the future,
The future is bright, very bright.
for sure.
All right. See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on today's episode of For the Love of the Map. As always, you can join the discussion in the private Facebook group and follow along with show updates on Instagram and TikTok. Links can be found in the description below. If you find value in the show, please share it with your friends. Your comments, likes, and reviews are invaluable, and I cannot thank you guys enough. See you next time.